Welcome back, my friends. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is Silver Slayer, so now let's talk silver. I hate to say it, but the price of silver is manipulated. And I think that's pretty obvious because if you think that $21 for an ounce of silver is a natural price, then I don't know what to tell you. See, manipulation goes back decades, and this isn't a conspiracy or a myth. People are getting sent to prison for it. JP Morgan, in a recent case, has to pay a $920 million fine for manipulating precious metals and treasury markets. Now, they choose silver because silver is a much smaller market than gold, so it's a lot easier to manipulate. I make videos like this because if someone enters the silver market, finds out that they're investing into a market that's rigged, it might push them away. Well, I do want to say that the fundamentals will overpower any type of manipulation. Now, before we go into the type of manipulation, I did want to mention some of the backstory. Pre-2020, these banks would get a slap on the wrist, $35 million fines, and then in 2020 they said, I remember the specific instance when they came out and said they're going to start cracking down and penalizing people more because this is ridiculous, it's extremely illegal, and they don't like, they're tired of people getting away with this. JP Morgan, the shadiest bank in the world, plus Merrill Lynch, the Dutch bank, they've been doing this for decades. Now, what they do is something called spoofing. It's when they place false buy or sell orders on these exchanges, making the volume on the exchange much different than it actually is because they're going to cancel that order before it goes through, tricking everyone else on that exchange thinking that the markets are doing something that they're actually not. So then that affects the price, and then JP Morgan cashes out off of the manipulation of the price they just did. It's in smaller stints, but it's still extremely illegal, and it's hard to catch because you're allowed to cancel buy or sell orders. So how can you catch someone with the ill intent that was never going to let that that transaction go through? How can you catch that? Well, they are. You have to look at patterns, but you could see how there's a lot of gray area. Now, JP Morgan has gotten caught the most, but like I said, there's other banks that have gotten caught doing this as well. 3 of their employees got sent to prison, another one for racketeering, all JP Morgan. Anytime you hear about a price manipulation case going to court, it's always JP Morgan. This is actually from justice.gov, the Department of Justice from the United States, posting this article, August 10th, 2022. Like I said, they're backdating decades. They've been doing this for years and years, manipulating the price of silver. Now, I want to go into this because it really does break down what this all entails. Like I said, and like other people have said before, regardless how much manipulation, how much illegal, shady, corrupt action that goes on behind the scenes of the precious metals market or the silver market will not be able to overweigh the fundamentals of supply and demand. Low supply, high demand pushes the price up. Those are the fundamentals. See, everything pushes and pulls silver's price to some degree, whether it's stock market volatility, whether it's spoofing, whether it's the dollar index, whether it's supply crunches, whether it's demand, whether it's crypto. All of those push and pull to different degrees, right? Maybe 5% stock market volatility, 50% dollar index, spoofing over the weekend, maybe. See what I'm saying? But the fundamentals will always overpower all of that. No matter how many dollars you throw away or to something, fundamentals always come out on top. And that's why I say silver's real price will explode, or its natural price will be around the year 2025, 2026, when we get deeper into the supply deficit, or when we get deeper into this green new era, as we will need much more silver than we honestly have. So anyways, let's look into this spoofing. And I want to ask you, are you someone that thinks that spoofing has a bigger degree or has a much bigger hand in the price of silver than people think. A lot of people think that spoofing isn't really that big of a deal. And like Ted Butler said actually in an article, it's much deeper and more sinister than just spoofing. We're talking about stuff that will never go to court, stuff from the U.S. government. And I'm sure that happens as well. This is just what's on the surface when we're talking about price manipulation in the metals markets. So, the landmark multi agency settlement lifts a regulatory shadow that has hung over the bank for several years and marks a signature victory for the government's efforts to clamp down on illegal trading in futures and precious metals market. Now, there's also, if you want to go in just to spoofing, think about the COMEX. Think about how they are pushing this facade on the COMEX that there are an equal amount of ounces physically floating around as there are digitally. If everyone on the COMEX turned in those contracts to physical delivery, the silver's price would get exposed because there's not that much silver, meaning it is a fake, it's a facade. The entire market is a big scheme. It's a big scheme. Supposedly, every single ounce of silver you hold in your hand, 250 other people own that same ounce on the COMEX. Those people think they have that ounce. They think it's theirs in some vault or whatever, but it's not. If they tried to turn all of that in, everyone, it would get exposed. And now it's going to take longer and longer for these people when they turn these contracts in to get their silver, and eventually the entire market would collapse. Silver's true price, its true value would come through. J.P. Morgan will pay $436.4 million in fines, $311.7 million in restitution, and more than $172 million in disgorgement from the Commodities Futures Trading Commission, or the CFTC. And J.P. Morgan, it's not just spoofing. They got caught with millions and millions of dollars in misprinted gold bars, probably going to be sold on the black market. They even did that thing with crypto, with Bitcoin specifically, back in like 2017. Jamie Dimon, right, which is the head of J.P. Morgan. Jamie Dimon came out in the news, called Bitcoin a scam, said Bitcoin is just, don't invest into it. It's a terrible purchase, whatever. Then when he came out and said that publicly, Bitcoin fell thousands of dollars that same day. Thousands of dollars. And the funniest part is, the blockchain stores every transaction publicly. So right after he said that, people saw that JP Morgan started buying millions and millions and millions of dollars of Bitcoin. See, he didn't really believe that. He said that so everyone else would sell it and they could get the price of Bitcoin cheaper. JP Morgan is the shadiest bank. Between 2008 and 2016, JP Morgan engaged in a pattern of manipulation in the precious metals futures and U.S. Treasury futures markets, the CFTC said. And here is basically what, like I said when I explained what spoofing is, traders would place orders on one side of the market, buy or sell orders, which they will never intend to execute, to create a false impression of buy or sell interest that would raise or depress prices according to the settlement. This manipulative practice, which is designed to create the illusion of demand or lack thereof, is known as spoofing. I've been covering spoofing cases, this entire situation basically for years now. I can't even try to guess how many videos I've made covering another spoofing case going into light, or even back before. Because if you think that $21 is a natural price for silver, I don't know what to tell you. That's all because it's manipulated. But regardless, even back before, they would get, I'm not even kidding, like a $35 million fine, a slap on the wrist. So do you think that gives them any incentive to stop doing it? No. $35 million for a bank is nothing. Even $920 million really isn't. But if your life is actually getting put at stake, if you might actually go to prison, that might make you second guess it. Just getting a fine to pay a certain amount of money when you're a bank is one thing, but if you actually might get sent to prison for doing that, it might make you second guess it. It's gonna go on forever. Anywhere there's money involved or banks, there's always going to be corrupt, shady play behind the scenes. I think everyone should know that. But regardless, I'm trying to tell you guys, and like so many others have said, I should have probably pulled up some of those articles as well. People explaining that price manipulation cannot exist forever, and the reasons why we're investing into silver. Some of the trades were made on JP Morgan's own accounts, while other occasions traders manipulated the market to facilitate trades by hedge fund clients, said the CFTC. The bank failed to identify, investigate, and stop the behavior even after a new surveillance system flagged issues in 2014, they said. And even they even got some of the WhatsApp messages from these guys. They would have like a group. They would have like a WhatsApp group, and they actually showed some of the conversations. These guys are, I wouldn't call them, you know, I mean, yes, they're arrogant, ignorant, but the way that they were going about it was so immature, and it was a game to them. Like, I remember one guy was like, he was like, yeah, watch what I'm about to do in a couple hours, and then he did it, and then he's like going into the weekend, yada yada, like bragging about what they were doing. They're all kind of laughing about it, like it was a game. It was sick. I mean, when I read that, I understood. I got a better understanding of how I get they just really don't care about what they're doing. It's just funny to them. The conduct of the individuals referenced in today's resolutions is unacceptable, and they are no longer with the firm. Of course, I mean, they better not be, and I'm sure that they're going to be going to prison. I don't think I know that that was their sentencing, was imprisonment, not jail, imprisonment, and the fourth one got caught for racketeering. I know that for sure. I don't know if they are in prison now, but I know those were the sentencing, or the sentences they had. And there's a lot of, I mean, there's so much information on this. Um, but if you guys wanted to, here, hold on. If you guys wanted to check out this is the justice.gov's. Um, but oh yeah, this goes way deeper into the actual. Yeah, look at this. The defendants engaged in thousands of deceptive trading sequences. Thousands. And we're talking about millions of dollars probably, with all of these, with thousands of orders, not millions of dollars in total. I'm talking about placing millions of dollars thousands of times, and they've gotten caught right now, spanning over 8 years, but they're going back much farther. That's just what they're where they're stopping right now for this case. But um, this is insane, right? For years, defendants allegedly placed thousands of false orders for precious metals, creating a ruse that lured others into making disadvantageous trades. And that's what the director of the FBI said. And then today's conviction demonstrates that no matter how complex or long-running a scheme is, FBI is committed to bringing those involved in crimes like this to justice. And they try to justify it. Obviously, they could use the play as you're allowed to cancel buy or sell orders, but you're not allowed to with the ill intent, right? You're that's just not. And then they try to compare it to like real estate, or how people will bid up on something, and then then someone else, they'll do that to sell the house higher. If like someone is a friend, you know what I'm saying, or even like storage units. They tried to pull that card. I mean, they tried everything. They tried to pull everything. It was funny. I mean, obviously, these two articles aren't going to break down everything that I've read and I've covered on my channel, since I've been talking about this for years, and I've covered so many different articles and documents from this. But yeah, there's a lot to this. It's a pretty deep rabbit hole. So yeah. Anyways, I really want, like I said, to make this a video like this so you guys understand it's not as deep as the banks are just gonna hold down silver's price forever. It's a lot. It's more in segments. It's very segmented. It's not a long running scheme. It's more of instances that will last like 2 to 3 days going into the weekend. Like you'll see silver's price do something very, very odd leading into the weekend, and then on Monday it will correct, or it will do, it'll go back down. That's usually spoofing. Now, obviously, thousands of instances with several different banks and several different people. You could probably put that together, as a long time running thing. But like I said earlier, when you're talking about something that's going to overpower or that has much more power than just placing false buy or sell orders, which is the fundamentals, which is supply and demand, that's always going to outweigh it. Even when you're talking about, like Ted Butler, I'm pretty sure said, um, he talked about the deeper, more corrupt portion of this bit with the U.S. government behind it, which is more of a conspiracy, even though there is some data out there that proves otherwise. Even not even that can stop it, because when we're talking about the inevitable collapse of the dollar, anything else that goes down, or when the dollar collapses going down with it, it's like switching seats on Titanic. So you could throw as much money in stocks to pump stocks up or whatever. When the dollar collapses, stocks are too. But gold and silver has intrinsical value. So no matter who says that 1 ounce silver coin is worth, what's relevant, because the coin's value is the 1 ounce inside of it, not the price tag attached to it, right? It's detached from the price because the value is the coin, not just what someone says that value's worth in dollar terms, especially as a dollar has lost 98% of its original purchasing power. So yeah, I'm going to wrap this video up here. I hope you enjoyed this video. The link to these two articles will be in the description. This article from justice.gov is probably going to be more informational and telling if you wanted to read this current case with JP Morgan. Because like I said, this was posted August 10th, 2022, not too long ago. And this one's explaining from Reuters kind of more of just this whole practice. This one is more of the actual the legal side of things. So I'll check this one out as well. So yeah, thanks for tuning in. This was Silver Slayer. Make sure you like the video. If you liked the video, make sure you subscribe. Check out Miles Franklin, the bottom left-hand corner. Send an email to info@milesfranklin.com if you want to purchase silver. Best, most trusted, reliable silver dealer in the world. Andy Scheckman's the CEO. I'm sure you've seen him somewhere on my channel or Wall Street Silver. I highly recommend buying through them. We're talking about, we're talking about a company that's never had a negative or bad review in 45 years. Also, one of the only few authorized dealers with the U.S. Mint. Building a business relationship with this company could be extremely beneficial, especially as Andy has connections that can still access silver, while a lot of these other companies are begging you, their own customers, to sell back to them at extremely high premiums because they can't find any silver. So yeah. Anyways, send an email to info@milesfranklin.com. Let them know I sent you. Let's say, what's up, Silver Slayer? Send me, help you out. It helps me out as well. Thanks for tuning in. This was Silver Slayer. I'll see you guys soon. Peace.